Hey, my beautiful people. Good evening and fruitful Friday to you. I pray that you have had a fantastic week thus far. Look, my hair is looking crazy. I had a ponytail on top of my head, and it's moving on over to the side. And look, it is what it is. At the end of the day, it's gonna be exactly what it's meant to be. Look, I'm out here looking a hot damn mess, but guess what? That's my damn business. But I pray that your week has been as fantastic as you are. Um, this is going to be a little sensitive video. I got and definitely some trigger warnings in here. And I have to tell you about the lessons that uh, I learned and that I received. I got I have a 20, I have my 6 heartbeats, and I'm going to have to do a video about them. I have my 2 nephews who are my sister's kids, my babies. Always been, I think about them in the same breath and heartbeat as my kids. I have a 33-year-old daughter. I have a 25-year-old son, and I have a 16-year-old son, and I have a 12-year-old granddaughter that I unfortunately have not seen for quite a while because of the parental drama. Well, my family is more separated and divided, unfortunately, right now, anyway. So, still praying for our healing and restoration. Um, I got a call from my son Mell this morning, and he told me he has some bad news to tell me. And I would like instantly, I could feel the grip on my heart. And he told me that his dog, he went down to take him out to outside, and his dog, Rekkless, was passed. And I instantly got emotional, and I instantly started crying. And he wanted to get Rekkless out so that he could take him to be cremated. Um, and he was like, Mom, I can't do this alone. And he was emotional, and I was just, trying to encourage him that, it's okay to feel how you feel. Allow yourself the permission to feel it. Don't try to hold it in. Don't try to hold back. Feel what you feel. Allow yourself to go through it, and do what you need to do for yourself to get those feelings and emotions out, and make sure that you're not beating yourself up with the what ifs, because a lot of the times we do that. And even after like my mom and dad's passing, my sister's passing, you all, for me personally, as close as I was the only one of their children who, and my dad had 9 kids, my mom had 5 kids, but I was the only one who was there to support, love, encourage, care me and my family, which my kids were included in that. And I'm grateful and thankful I had the time. But even as close as we were, I still had regrets once they were gone, and those regrets really tore me up and really ate at me. And regrets, we think of what we could have did, what we should have did, how it could have been different. How we could have showed up different, how could things could have been better. Like your mind goes down this rabbit hole, and the rabbit hole ultimately makes you feel bad about yourself, and it's more self-sabotaging and more beating yourself up, and it makes you feel bad about yourself. And I just had to tell it from experience. I just had to tell him, don't get caught up on the what ifs. Feel what you feel. If something does try to come up, any feelings, any things that you say you made a mistake, you could have did better, you could have did whatever it is that comes up, I said address it, acknowledge it, and then I said push it to the side and leave it right there. Don't let it attach to you, don't let it hold on to you, and definitely don't let your mind spiral out on that negativity. So I asked him, did he want me to come over there and help him to, do what he needed to do to get him cleaned up, and to so that he could take him to the vet to do to ultimately have him cremated, and he just told me he couldn't do it by himself, and he called me, so I went over there and assisted him in taking care of Rek and preparing Rek. I called him Rekkster buddy. That was my buddy, and but his name was Rekkless, and he was every bit of his name. He was a pit bull, gray, brindle, big, beautiful, um, massive, and my son actually flew down to Texas to go pick him up, and he came up here. But Rek was big, beautiful. He was massive and intimidating. However, he was just like a big clumsy kid. Like, he was clumsy. He didn't have no damn common sense. He didn't have no common sense. But he was always like just so loving and care, just wanted to play and have a good time. But from his stature, he was intimidating, but he was just a ball of fun and happiness and joy, and just wanted love and wanted to be loved. And around this time, like when my son got him, because when my son got him, I started babysitting and doing different things. And Rek really, I was over there helping my son, and we were both, like I say, helping him prepare and stuff. And I was talking to Rek about how amazing he was in my life, and how much of a blessing he was in my life, and what he did for me. Because ultimately, and I may cry, and that's okay, because I give myself permission to feel what I need to feel at any given moment, and it's okay. And while I'm helping my son prepare him, we're both emotional, but I'm talking to Rek about how amazing he was in my life, and just the love that he brought into my life. And ultimately, he aided in my growth and my expansion at a time. Like I say, I wore armor my whole life. I was rigid. I was very one thing that I'm realizing, and like I say, healing in therapy, is that you have to be honest, and brutally honest. And one thing, like, my family is separated and divided. Um, I went through trauma. I had a life of pain and a life of challenges, struggle, personal stuff, traumas that I carry, things that I divine myself by. Like, I've been to hell and back. I was forged in the fire, and I wore armor my whole life. I had my daughter when I was 14 years old, and so on and so forth. So I've been through a lot in my life. And one thing that I'm realizing is, like, I parented out of not wanting the same things that happened to me to happen to my kids. So I was really like, no, you can't do this. No, 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 no. You know what I'm saying? No, you're not spending night at people's house. No, you're not doing this. No, not unless I know the people. Just so many things. However, that level of love that and trying to protection that I have for my kids ultimately became like a control. I was real rigid, and as I said, I had a temper. I was explosive, so they also caught my wrath if they, like I say, not but if they said something or a certain thing, I would, like I say, I would yell, I would do certain things, I would correct, I would discipline, and it was real rigid. And um it wasn't out of any negative or wanting to control. I think that overall I thought I was more protecting, which ultimately became it translated to control for them. And one thing that I realized about my nephews and my kids was that they felt like they had, because of everything they watched me go through, because of everything they seen me go through, they felt they had to come to me a certain way. They felt they had to come, like they were responsible for me in some way. They felt they had to walk on eggshells. They had to come with an offering. They had to come with a certain thing to be accepted. I see now that they never, like I gave them the things that they wanted and needed, and I gave them the things they wanted. So they had the things that they wanted, but when it came down to the emotional, I see you, I see you, I feel support, you feel supported, you feel showed up for, you feel emotionally supported. I don't think, I know that's where the disconnect and the lack was. I wore armor my entire life because of the things that I went through. And through my healing, drawing closer to God, my therapy, I realized where my personal challenges and my personal traumas and my identity, the lack of care and consideration and concern and love for myself, ultimately translated to my nephews, my kids, and those things, unfortunately. And the realization is in therapy, I can be honest and transparent. But my kids didn't always feel emotional supported. They didn't always feel like I seen them or showed up for them, or they felt they had to come to me a certain way in order for them to be accepted. Unfortunately, like I say, unfortunately, um, being real and honest with yourself is a hard and challenging thing. But at the end of the day, the truth is the truth, and facts are facts. And I take full accountability of the things that I maybe felt could have been different. But the realization is that I couldn't give them something that I didn't have in me to give at that time, as sad as that is. So my family is separated and divided for many reasons. And whereas I'm on my healing journey and therapy and growing and expanding and healing myself, my kids were affected by my decisions. And I had a dog named Bruno when I was a little kid. He was a German Shepherd, and Bruno was my everything. Like, Bruno was my protector. Bruno, I would run home from school. Bruno would be the first thing I wanted to play with. Bruno used to ride us I used to always want a horse and a pony back in the day, so Bruno used to ride me on his back around the backyard and stuff. Like, Bruno was my everything. And then one day I came home um and they had put him to sleep because he had got so old, and it just devastated me. So unfortunately, my kids bared that burden as well because of my trauma with Bruno. I never allow my kids to have a dog. My kids have never had an animal. And it's sad, but that's the reality, that our traumas affect our children, especially when they're unhealed. And I'm making it a point now in my healing to let them all know how much I love them unconditionally, just the way that they are. They don't have to show up with an offering or a certain way or be a specific thing for me to accept them. And I don't like the fact that they felt that way. So I am putting out there and showing up and pouring into them differently. And when I went over there to help my son, and when I looked at Rick, I could feel Mel looking at me, and it was almost like I had that point, and he had that look in his eye, like, was I going to be critical, um, or was I gonna give him some peace and make it a little easier? And it's like, it's still hard for me to see that, because there are certain things that have happened, and I can see this split second moment in my kids or my nephew sometimes, like, oh shit, like, what is she gonna say? Like, is she gonna be critical, or is it gonna let's see, has she really changed? And in that moment, I decided, no, like I say, the critical and rigid and all that, that was the old me. Now I'm pouring into you with love and compassion and caring, and want to show you the greatness and that you are, in spite of any mistakes or things that we felt that we could have made, or things that we felt we could have done different. At the end of the day, even in our mistakes, we learn lessons, and those mistakes or errors, or when we're honest with ourselves, they can make us better. We learn lessons from everything, the good and the bad. Um, and it was Rec came in at a time where, uh like I say, Rec helped me with so many things in my healing and my growth. Rec helped me to have fun, to be free, to truly show compassion and love, and to let go, and to be silly. Because he would come over here, he would spend like, we would be in the backyard playing, we would be in the backyard, and he was just carefree. He was just a good time. He was silly. He was clumsy. He was, like I say, he didn't have any common sense. Like, he went under the fence and couldn't figure out how to get back over. We had to go find him in the neighborhood. So it's just, he didn't have any common sense, but he was just, like I say, who he was in my life. Um, Really aided and helped in my growth and my expansion. And like I was telling my son, as sad as the situation is, it's a sad to say that he's gone and not here. But he will always be remembered, and he will always be missed, because Rec was part of my healing, my growth, and my expansion. I called him my Rekkster buddy, and he would jump up big, and he didn't know his own. He was one of them ones. He was big and massive, but he didn't know his own power, because he was just like a little, like, he just wanted love and fun and care. And so he helped me to soften. He helped me to show kindness and compassion and consistency and caring and love, and that responsibility, and so many other things. So I was just telling my son, whereas this is sad, I told him, look at all the great lessons that Rick taught all of us, and what he brought into our life. And even with my son, I said, this was the first dog that you've ever had, So I said, you can say maybe the things you could have done better, or done different, or been different. I said, this was the first dog that you had. And then I went into the understanding that I had about myself, in the life, and the realizations that I've had that affected my kids. And I told him, at the end of the day, we all fall short, and there's a lot of things that we could do better. But I said, learn from that. Don't beat yourself up about it. You've learned a lesson from that, and that lesson made you better. You learn the things that you like, and you learn the things that you don't like, and you learn the things that worked and not, or how you would be different next time. I said, he was your first pet, and he changed all of our lives, and he was truly a blessing. So where he is gone, he will always be loved. He will always be cherished. He will always be remembered, because he brought so much love and carefree freedom, liberation, just like fun. And like I say, like I say, he was smiling, silly, laughing. And I'm forever grateful for who Rec was in my life. And his presence will definitely be missed. But he brought love and care and compassion and fun, and he helped me with not being so critical, and so many other things that he blessed me with. So my Rekkster buddy is gone, and will always be missed. And my son, like I say, I poured life into him, and love, and care and compassion, and just told him how, like I say, I wasn't going to be critical and tear him down in that moment. That's not me. That's not who I am any longer. You know what I'm saying? And at some point, I was unintentionally that. And I refuse to go back. So it's about love, care, compassion, kindness, and just support, and Rec is gone, but he will never be forgotten, and he will always be loved. And just make sure that you love your family, your pets, your loved ones, anything that matters to you. Make sure that you are loving them presently and in the moment, because tomorrow is not promised. So be good to you, my beautiful people. Thank you for listening. Bye. Talk to you soon. Mwah.